Okay, guys. Thought I'd just put a quick one together for everybody who's got this Titan leg press attachment. It is a major pain in the ass to install. Um, so I had this thing sitting in the garage for a couple of months, um, and I watched that video from Aaron from Curls in the Rack, which was pretty hilarious. And then I thought to myself, I really need to figure out something about this attachment because there's no way in hell I'm going to be ever using this if I have to be messing around trying to get this thing on and off the arm. So I made this, I want to say maybe a month ago, month and a half ago. I just hadn't had a chance to make the video for it yet. But um, basically, I machined some slots into this to make this much easier to mount. But for everybody else who wants to do this, you don't need to machine stuff into this. You just basically need a drill and a drill press, or even a hand drill, whatever you have access to. First thing is these fly nuts or thumb nuts that I ordered on Amazon. They're M16, and this is what I selected for the project. And I use these for other stuff too. They're about 20 bucks a pair, if I'm not mistaken, on Amazon, and they're well worth it. Just for this application, it was totally worth getting these. So what you basically want to do is you got to decide first of all if you want to just drill 2 holes or if you can do 4 holes. In my case, what I did is I made these slots for mounting it first, and then I made these smaller slots to put other bolts in and secured it with these bolts. And the reason why I did that is that a lot of people who have this attachment use an adjustable pull-up bar at the same time to stabilize the lever arms. Because what ends up happening is when you're pushing it, you have this like tilting motion happening on the arms, and when you put that adjustable pull-up bar, it helps stabilize it. I don't want to be mounting the extra pull-up bar and stuff, so I thought to myself, if I bolt this in place, this might be enough to keep the arm from tilting, and it worked out perfectly. So what I'm going to suggest for people who want to kind of simplify their life, here's the easiest design I thought of that can be done. So basically what you want to do is you want to measure out your holes so that they line up with the arm. And then what you want to do is, depending on what kind of what size drill bit you're going to use to make the hole bigger, you basically have to do a little math and make sure that the edge of your hole lines up with the edge of the smaller hole that's on the arm. And that way what happens is when you put the attachment onto the arm and it clicks down, it'll line up with the side pin, and that way you don't have to play around too much trying to just push the pin in and out and move the arm around. It should line up pretty accurately. And you know, it's a little bit of work getting the math right and all this stuff, but it's well worth it. And so I haven't tried fastening the thumb nuts while they're in this slotted area yet to test. I think I'll do that next to just kind of see what it's doing. But what I did do is I tested it out when I mount it. Once it's sitting on this thumb nut, what I do is I pop another bolt in from here, and then I take the thumb nut off and I put it onto the second bolt, and then I tighten it. And that seems to be stabilizing this thing really, really well. And like I said, I'll do a video to kind of show you guys how well it's stabilized. But I thought this might be pretty useful for a lot of people, and it's not a lot of work to do this. It's just basically got to do a little bit of math. But yeah, see if you want to try it. Let me know what you guys think. So I thought of something else while I was editing the video. If you drill the holes for the lever arms a little higher, and you drill a larger hole underneath it, and then what you can end up doing is you can either use either a grinder or hacksaw to kind of like open up this area here so they kind of join together. If you have this like keyhole shape, what will end up happening is that once you get your bolt in, it'll click into place and line up with this pin here, and that way you'll have more surface for the nut to kind of press up against. You can also use a washer before putting the nut on so you have more surface space, but I feel like this would be a much more secure way of doing this if you're going to end up just making one hole instead of a dedicated hole for the bolt. So I thought I'd just kind of put that in there for people who want to try that out. Okay, so I have this mounted right now on the dedicated holes instead of the slotted ones. And I just want to show you how stable this is when it's assembled with the dedicated holes. And then we'll compare it to the slotted ones. So I'm going to push off the rubber, and then you can kind of see how this doesn't really shift when I press on one extremity or the other. So it's very much ultra stable without a pull-up bar. And so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna just stop the video for a second, switch this to the slotted holes, and then we'll compare to see if there's any difference. Okay, so I have this thing mounted on the slotted holes instead of the dedicated holes. One thing to note, if you're gonna just use a large hole to slide this onto and not use a dedicated hole, make sure that you use your safety pin, because this thing is 70 pounds and you don't want this thing kind of sliding off and then falling on you, because it kind of reminds me of that thing called the Tombstone in that movie Death Race, that giant piece of bulletproof steel on the back of the car they dropped on cars. That's what this thing is. It's a Tombstone. So make sure you use your safety pins if you're not using a dedicated hole for the bolts. I'm curious to see if this is going to be just as stable, and if it is, it's going to be great, because then I don't have to swap bolts. But just for testing purposes, I'm just going to push off the rubber here on one side. And so if I put my foot on the other one and I let go of this, there's no shifting. So that you don't have this tilting with the arms. You don't need to put up the pull-up bar for this. It stays super stable. And it's really unfortunate, because it didn't take a genius to figure this out. Like, I stared at this thing for about 20 minutes and I was like, there's gotta be a way to set this up in a way where it just hooks on. And then I found a solution for this and I did it. It took me a lot of time to machine all this stuff, but on a manufacturing level, this is a joke. Like, it wouldn't take that long to make the slots or even just holes for this to fit properly. It's really unfortunate that, you know, companies have this big budget and engineers, and sometimes they don't take the time to really think about how to simplify these installation of these things for their clients, and then we end up buying them and they get super annoying to use. But yeah, this is basically my solution. So I hope this helps you out. And I want to throw a shout out to Aaron from Curls on the Rack for inspiring me to find a solution for this thing, because I was thinking about, when I first got this thing, that I might set up like some kind of pulley system for it. I wasn't sure how I was gonna use it and all this stuff. So watching you set it up with that counterweight stuff, I was like, that's gonna be a catastrophe. We're not gonna do that. So I think this worked out pretty good. Let me know what you guys think. I hope this helps you guys out too.